Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Etech Leadership Table. This is a podcast where we invite you to pull up a chair, grab a cup of coffee, and join us as we tackle some remarkable discussions on everything leadership. I'm Melissa Wood. I'm your host. I'm the Dean of Leadership Development at Etech Global Services. Welcome to this episode of Etech Table Talk, Leadership Table. We are excited that all of our podcasters are here today. Man, we have a fun one for you today. So pull up a chair, invite a friend, get your favorite drink, and join us for this wonderful episode of Jim Madden and Melissa Wood Leadership Table. So hi, Jim. Welcome.
Hey, Melissa. Great to see you again. Thanks for having me on.
Nice to see you again. Hey, every time as everybody, just imagine everybody pulling up to the table. All of our podcasting friends pulling up to the table.
Have a seat.
When we pull up to the table at my house, we usually have some kind of drink in our hand. Are you drinking anything today that you want to share with our podcasters?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Nothing exciting, just some water here. I'm ready though.
Water is.
This evening, maybe.
And you have it in a thermos.
Yes.
And you have it in a thermos. So water. Are you ice water or straight like spring water? Are you like a water connoisseur?
May to October, it's iced water, and then I kind of go more with straight water when it's warmer.
Okay.
Or cooler.
I love water. Water. I've got addicted to this new spring water. I've been drinking spring water a lot and pH balance. I've been watching the pH levels of water. So,
interesting.
Growing up, I drank water out of a water hose.
I have a soda stream, and I was overdoing it, and my dentist told me it was going to hurt my teeth. So I only do like maybe a liter of that a day. I don't try to do too much. I love that.
Okay, well, yeah. Today I'm drinking a smoothie. I'm drinking a iced strawberry banana smoothie it's a V8 smoothie. So I'm excited about that. So I should be a little more energized than my normal self. So you better watch out. Watch out. So, all right. Well, let me just tell our podcasters as you're pulling up a table, pulling up a chair at the table. Let me tell you what Jim and we're going to talk to all of you about today. And it is, AI. I just came back from one of the most phenomenal conferences. And obviously, AI is a hot topic. It is a hot topic. Jim knows all about this. He is from the company of Symtrain. But we're going to talk about AI probably not like any other podcast or any other, synopsis that you've probably been to. We're going to look at it differently. So today's topic, get ready for it. If you're taking notes, if you don't have your pen or your tablet, go get it. Today's topic is how AI is improving the agent life inside and outside of work. Okay. So when I met with Jim for the first time a few weeks ago, this is where his heart's at. I saw his eyes light up when he started talking about improving agents' life. And you're going to hear many people on YouTube and podcasters talk about AI in all sorts of different ways. But this is about how it improves someone's life inside and outside of work. So I think that's where it's different today. So come on in, join up, and let me tell you a little bit about Jim as you are taking notes, because he's not just somebody that slid in and wants to talk to you about AI, just another AI talker. Okay. Jim, I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I took some notes about you a little bit. All right. So just so you guys know, you see his, he is the COO of Symtrain. Got it? He's got it. Look, he's got his shirt on. He's sporting it. I'm sporting Etech today. If you can see it, I'm sporting Etech. Basically, Symtrain is almost like a digital coach, right? It is an AI-based automated role-playing solution, right? And so I love the terminology when they say digital coach. And why does Jim have a seat at this table? Don't blush, Jim, but let me tell our podcasters why you have a seat at this table. When you hear me refer to someone as a seasoned leader, you see that people's bio, you see it on, all their updates. That means he knows what he's doing. He's been in this industry. He's seen it come full circle, and he's got experience in this field. Okay. So I love to have a seasoned doctor that knows what he's doing. That's what I'm always looking for. And I really like to have a seasoned pilot when I'm flying. That probably is something you want too. So I want someone that is seasoned in the field. So when I saw seasoned leader in his bio, I don't want to skip over that at all. He knows what he's doing. He has a proven track record. That's what that means. He has a history as a general manager and a CEO of multinational companies. He's taken companies from $0 to $300+ million. If you go back and you can read all about his bio, a lot of podcasts to sit there and read the bio, but I want to let you know that he's taken people from nothing and moved them to somewhere. And that's where he does that with companies. And that's where his heart is sitting when it comes to agent behavior, because they can go from an area where they are from point A to point B, and his passion is to get them there. So I know when you're probably setting many podcasts, Jim, but most podcasters don't tell you what your boss says about you. I went to see what your boss says about you. Watch out. So your boss, Dan McCann, right? And he is the CEO and the Chief Learning Officer of Symtrain. And I took some notes just to remind you, and those of you that are listening, you might want to go and see what your boss says about you, because that says a lot, right? His boss says that he brings leadership. I talk to many bosses, and they say the hardest thing that they can find is someone with leadership capabilities. His boss says he brings leadership, well-rounded leadership. In his words, he said, Jim brings energy. I know that to be true. He has an innovative mindset. You guys, he just helped us before the podcast, so I could not be upside down in this podcast. So he is definitely an innovative, solutions-oriented person. And then he brings experience into this digital coach world. So welcome to the leadership table, Jim Madden. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, Melissa. I'm super happy to be here. It's going to be a really good conversation. And, when you were talking about the last thing I want is an inexperienced pilot. That's what this conversation is about. Making sure you have experienced agents, and that's one of the best things you can do to help the agent life, is to help them be experienced. But we'll get into that. We'll get into it in detail, but you really hit on the theme in your preamble.
Well, let's jump into that. And everybody's got their notes. They're ready to hear about how AI is improving the agent life inside and outside of work. So kind of just peel that back for me a little bit. Is it really improving agent life, or is it detrimental to them? Is it just the new fad? Tell me, what do you think?
Agent properly developed, deployed, and implemented, AI is a huge opportunity for agents to learn how to upskill and upgrade their work life, their professional life, and as well as it becomes the rock of a family in developing markets where this competent and confident person who's become an agent becomes the rock of a family. So there's so many ways that AI will change, many more than what we already know today in the next decade, but properly developed and properly implemented. And AI helps in agents' life immediately and dramatically, for sure, in many ways. And we'll dig into those, I think, a little bit. Okay.
So what's the first way that you would say it makes an impact? What's the first thing you think it does?
Sure. So AI, you can look at when can an agent become exposed to AI, and how can that begin to help? And that would be, in the candidate recruitment process. So AI can help identify candidates for the right role. So there's some people who are very gifted at longer conversations around tech support. They're technically savvy. They like problem solving with technology related issues. And then maybe a couple other categories, people that are people want to do customer service or support. And there's other people in more like sales roles. They're persuasive. They enjoy the conversation with people to help them solve a problem and then sell them a solution that helps them there. So AI in the beginning can help identify candidates for the right role, so you don't have somebody coming in and being in the wrong role. And even a layer above that, Melissa, think about agents going through training and then freezing on the floor after 6 weeks of training because they were never really properly scoped for whether they're going to be a good persona for phone-based work. So you can also screen them for, you'd be great in more of a back office function. You'd be great. Your analytical skills would put you over in this area. So AI is going to radically transform how candidates are brought in, assessed, and then put in place. And where it gets, the rubber meets the road for phone-based conversations is using AI to actually give an agent as a prospective employee the opportunity to hear the dialogue that they would be using and then role play it. And then a lot of them will self-test in very high. And then, the enterprise benefits is, you're only really screening your A's and B's for this type of role, and you're moving the A's and B's for different types of skills into different areas. So the very first place that an agent should see and touch AI is during the candidate assessment process, so that they're really put in a place where they're going to be successful. Because that's what leads to attrition, is when people don't feel like they're making a contribution, and then they attrit. And that's a terrible thing for an employee. And the rock of the economic rock of a family is when that person, is like, this isn't for me, I got to go do something else. It threatens the family core, because often in a developing country, this person is developing the income for the family unit.
I'm taking notes like crazy here. You would not believe. Awesome. You're throwing gems out, and I don't mean Jim Ihoob. I mean, you're throwing GEMs. You're throwing gems out here. So I love that. First of all, there's the book called The Energy Bus. It's pretty old, but it's really good, and it talks about people being on the right seat in the bus, right? And what you've just described is, Ken Blanchard said, you want to begin with the end in mind. You don't want to, you want to take care of it at the front end, to make sure that someone is competent and confident. Those are the two C words that I hear you saying that's really powerful, that I can tell there's a lot of experience with you behind that, competent and confident. So I appreciate that you're holding companies accountable, offering them help, to not bring someone in a rock. Well, you use the word an economic rock of a family. Don't bring someone in and put them on the wrong seat of the bus. That you're holding companies accountable. We own that as companies. So if you're sitting at the table with us and you've got a small business, you're part of a large business, you're into recruiting, you're a CEO, a president, you're in a startup, we own who we bring into our organization, because they could be the economic rock of their family. And just to fill a seat on the bus, it could cause great turmoil for that person if we don't put them in the right location. You're saying that AI, what is AI? Well, there's tons of definitions of AI that it can be used for. But you're saying one of the ways it changes the life of an agent is it puts them in the right seat. And we owe that as companies to be smarter on who we're selecting, and you can help us with that. So I think that's a great way to start. Number one is it puts them in the right seat. How many of us, and you've seen it with your experience, seasoned, that even in executives, we've got great leaders in the wrong seat.
100%.
Great leaders in the wrong seat.
Yep, you see this all around. And we'll talk about how A is going to help both the supervisor and coaching, as well as, the agent life specifically. But, you really hit on it. Like, there's one of the tests of great leadership is what you said, is putting the right people in the right spot, and giving them the tools, equipping them, giving them a confidence and competence, and then holding them accountable and giving them the opportunity to flourish. And what you see often in larger organizations, where it's, AI will dramatically change coaching of first and second line managers, no matter what the vertical is, no matter what it is. Obviously for us in the contact center world, it's super, super important that we help supervisors, because, it's very dynamic. It's similar to retail. Here's the thing that happens all the time. The supervisor doesn't show up. The manager of the coffee shop doesn't show up. The person who's been there longer, You're now the manager, you're now the supervisor of this department. It happens all the time, and they're poorly equipped. So AI will help identify who the best person is to put in that spot, and then quickly give them sessions and coaching to help them do that job with a great deal of confidence.
That's bingo. Okay, so that's step number one. If we begin here, you begin with the end in mind. So AI, you're like, Melissa, I'm still a little scared of AI. Melissa, I'm not real sure. I hear what Jim's saying. Listen what he's saying. He's saying, when you're interviewing, when you're trying to select, use this AI tool to find out if this is the right person for this position, and give that person an opportunity to see what the position's about before they say yes to it. Hey, Jim, that made me think, you and I probably should go into business. We need to do an AI simulator for marriage.
Well, my wife, almost 30 years, just got home. So I could use some help. I'm glad she didn't hear you yet, because people jumped in there and said, boy.
Yeah. Jim and I have that in common. I've almost been married 30 years too, but could you imagine, before someone gets married, they do a simulator to see if they, that could probably save a lot of, we might be onto something there.
100%.
All right, podcast.
100%.
Okay, so
talk about finances, relationship issues. Yeah, rehearsing those, getting those, 100%. If you're not constantly learning it.
I think we're going to be on.
Yeah, so I was going to just go back. The other areas is things like skill development. So you made a really good point. We in the contact center industry are sometimes held accountable to just get somebody to take the call, that there's more volume than there are people. So the other thing, when you're dealing with that, and it's a fact, it happens, and it's not going to change. There's more volume than there are employees to take the volume in many, many different types of situations. So what AI can help do is say, here's a scorecard, and you can use the QEval solution to identify, here's a scorecard of the attributes of what somebody needs to do, whatever this skill is. A telecom billing role, or a cross-sell upsell from tech to selling, to tech support to selling, is say, hey, look, you should hire this person based upon your level of what you need to bring them in at. But here are the three things you're going to need to deal with during their onboarding for them to exit at a proficiency level that's going to be acceptable. So that's the other thing, and then that's the next world. The next world for us is how is AI going to profoundly, positively impact the agent is during their onboarding experience. So there's a great deal of attrition during onboarding. It's dull, it's boring, it's not as interactive as it could be. The competency levels of people exiting isn't at the level that the enterprise, or if you're a BPO, what your client is expecting. And it's this constant battle of in-class attrition, developing confidence and competence, driving people to understand, what they need to focus on, where they need help. And AI will completely transform the onboarding experience in within 2 to 3 years for sure. There's so many different things that AI can do in terms of scoring and then identifying areas for improvement across a myriad of things that need to happen, from language skills, typing speeds, then software interaction with the platform that they're going to be interacting with, and learning the steps and the workflows and the processes to work through a journey with a caller on the phone, and then your after call work, to the dialogue, rehearsing that dialogue, not be scared to death that the phone's about to ring every day when you come in for your first month and you're still like, okay, all right, I got to take that call, I guess. Is giving them the skills where they can perform at a level that they know that their boss isn't going to come, running down to them and say, hey, you need to, what happened on that call. That's this area of phone fright is an area that is really, really important for agents, to rehearse and role play continuously until they feel that they've developed the vernacular, the special terms, and then the kind of the rhythm, and then go through the different steps of the call. And a 5-7 minute call, it can have 15 different levels to it. Identify, greeting, identify, verify, let the person explain the problem, gear them to the solution, resolve, all the way through to a positive, NPS ask at the end, and then go through the after call work. It's intimidating, and it's hard. Many people who come in from developing countries have very little. They have mobile phone experience. They're on their phones all the time. They've very little to almost no interaction experience with anything that looks anything like an enterprise software platform that a company's managing its customer base on. So that onboarding area is a big area for AI development, and it goes straight to having that agent become super comfortable before they move from onboarding into production.
I love you walking us through the journey of how you bring them on, step one, right? And then the skill development. You just said so many key things here. The safe environment. I'm a trainer, been in leadership development for years on years. I guess seasoned, if you will say I'm seasoned as well. And the number one rule of any type of, when you're training anything, teaching someone to swim, fly an airplane, be a leader, is they have to have a safe environment. And 100%. Then I love the way you said that this is a safe environment for an agent to get confident and competent. Those are your C words, right? In the area that they're training. And I think that's why people quit. They just get nervous. They bail because they don't think they can do it. And, these role plays, these old school role plays that we started with, they go from maybe the role play didn't happen. Maybe some role plays go extreme that never, this never happens. Some role plays don't right. Do enough. Sometimes they don't get enough simulation in the role play. And they were good, Jim, for what we had back in the day. But AI is changing. So don't be scared of AI. It's changing the world in this area.
Absolutely. And there's two things that we talk about when we're presenting concepts to audiences. And one concept that, we believe in firmly is we want to find companies that don't want their agents practicing on their consumers. If you're just hiring people and just giving them 2 days how to log in and find their way through the software platform, you don't care about your customer experience and things like that. That's not a fit for us. And the other concept we talk about is how, in your root cause analysis of attrition, and in this case we'll talk about onboarding attrition. When does that attrition happen? And so a lot of people realize on day 2, when they do a role play, or day 3, they do a role play, that this isn't for them, but they're being paid to get trained. They're going to use the rest of the 2 or 3 weeks to find the next job. And then they don't show up the day for production. So we always ask, when does the attrition happen in class? And we have clients who have solved problems from 30% in class attrition to 10. And incidentally, they solve that attrition on day 2 or 3 because they're rehearsing and practicing, and they call it good attrition. I've never heard that before. We call it good attrition. We help these people identify whether they're the right thing. If it's a skill issue, we're going to help them. But if they're afraid of the phone, or this, they're someone who's customer service oriented and they're in a really complex technical and not technical enough, we want to move them into another role where they can be successful. So we talk about this onboarding in-class attrition and not wanting to practice on your consumers. Practice in a safe environment with a solution that allows you to go over and over and over again and get really detailed feedback of areas you need to improve on before you test, and then you can test and move into production.
Those that are sitting at the table, like I said, many of them are business owners. They're leaders in their company, and I'm just hearing you. This just keeps resonating with me, is we owe it to our agents to provide them at this. We talk about the cultures in our company and the kind of environment we create, and you can talk about that all day long. You can put some great resources out there, but if you're not providing them with simulated resources, you're really setting them up to fail. We really are. Jim, it makes that, the movie Top Gun. I know you probably do. I know probably all of our Who doesn't know Top Gun, right? Number one and the second one, both of them are really good. But they were Top Gun. They were the elite, the seasoned, if you will, and they still did simulations. They did simulations. They're
100%.
It's the same thing, right? I just keep thinking. My aha moments are, we owed it to the military personnel to do simulations and not just set them out there at war. So why would we not want to do that if we care about the business and the people we're bringing in?
That's it. 100%. You owe it to your business franchise as the franchise owner, the business owner, to be very involved in your customer experience and the culture of your teams to make sure that your people feel like they can be successful. It's absolutely fundamental. And we're going to touch on this point. What you just brought up about Top Gun still does simulations and they still do practices. We're going to talk about how QEval helps Symtrain identify, even in a group of 1,000 agents, say, or even 100, your top 10%, they still need to rehearse and practice. Their skills get, they get bored. They need to be challenged. And still, let's go back to that 5-7 minute dialogue that might have 15 elements of it. There's an area, either a soft skill or a KPI that everyone, even your top agent in 1,000, the number one person, still has something they can work on, whether it's some sentiment scoring areas around tone, pace, empathy, or it's, meeting certain types of KPIs, or it's handle time. There's different, it's conversion rate, whatever it is, there's always upskilling that can be done. And then obviously you take your best people, you cross-skill them, and then you allow them, you identify who your supervisors are, or when the one queue is really full and the other one is not so full, they can jump on and log into another queue. So cross-skilling them with automated role plays and AI coaching is really important.
I really like the way I like the way you're simplifying this, and you're breaking it down to people that have been scared of AI. You're really helping them to understand how it can actually be implemented. If you've been scared of implementing it, I'm not telling this is not me making a sales pitch, because you can use Symtrain, and I'm sure there are other great quality programs. Now, Jim will say otherwise, but there are some other quality people out there. But
our niche,
we don't have.
But we're the leader in our niche, for sure. But we participate and integrate with everything in order to distribute content, do QA scoring, so we know where to use the AI coach. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So, you talked about even your top need skill up. So if Shaquille O'Neal, if you're on our podcast today, he probably is. Who knows? But even if you don't know who Shaq was, he was a phenomenal basketball player, right? And he's still out there as a great leader in the industry. But he needed some skill up in free throws. You hear me, Shaq? So he needed a simulator, right, to help with his free throw percentage, even though he was top in his game. Yeah, he needed some help with the free throw. He needed Jim. He needed Symtrain for those free throws. That's what he needed. That's what he needed. So
I'll help you. Shaq, I'll help you out.
Okay, Shaq. Yeah, he pulls up at the table. So he go see awesome. Jim, Shaq. Hey, so the other thing is, Jim, you talked about QEval and the marriage / the partnership of QEval, and you wanted to talk a little bit about that. Can you kind of just peel that back just briefly for our team?
Yeah, sure. So let's cover where we've been. We've talked about assessments, and really, if you have the potential, if you have 400 people to fill 200 seats, then you can really assess the right people for the job, and so that's one, and the rest of what happens in assessment. Then in onboarding, it's really developing in a safe environment, a place to rehearse and practice and develop skills and your confidence and competence. And incidentally, for the business owners out there, we can cut the time to onboard in half. And this is where we begin to work closely with QEval. So with QEval in onboarding, we are able to share the performance results for the agents. So you're going to graduate a class of, say, 25, 50 people. You're going to graduate that class. But between what Symtrain has assessed these agents at and what QEval does, we pre-populate the scorecards. So a supervisor knows that when an agent joins his or her team on their first day, that these are the areas to focus on. They need help with this or that. And so that's the next area. So it's production coaching with an AI coach that is your AI coach for life. And where we come in here with QEval is an agent is in production and he's working away. And after a body of maybe 10 or 15 calls, QEval starts to signal both long tenured agents, your top 10 agents in a large group, your top 1%, your top 10%, even those, QEval is saying, hey, even these agents need help, but certainly your new hires, as they come on, is giving them this targeted coaching. So QEval, like I said before, is going to come back with a scorecard of, hey, conversion rate's high, but handle time's long. So Jim's going to get some coaching where he's going to take SIMs and he's going to be focused on reducing his handle time without hurting his performance with his conversion rate. Other areas, there might be issues with empathy. So we did a great use case with one of our mutual customers that Etech brought us into. It's a large insurance company. And there was a claims line. And the comment was, hey, it's across the board. We're not going to target this coaching. These new hires, they all need to move their empathy up 10%. So we gave them empathy-based simulations. We call them SIMs. So QEval identified this. It was discussed with the client. The client said, yes, oh my God, how are we going to do this? We're going live in 48 hours. It's an emergency response line for hurricane. We're going live. They said, no, don't worry about it. We'll talk to our partner. I think we might have had our team even on that call. Boom. We gave them two SIMs in 20 minutes, scores jumped, and then they were up over 10% in 2 hours of rehearsing and practicing. So, and that goes across the entire line of all KPIs, all sentiments, all your agents need an AI coach, and the results are spectacular. What we see is 4 to 6% improvement in KPIs such as handle time in only 4 to 6 weeks. And over a period of time, our largest customer has cut AHT by 9.7%. And across 40,000 agents, that's worth tens of millions of dollars. So we have this opportunity to go in and target elements of improvement that need to happen, where QEval is signaling, hey, this team, you can benchmark teams and leverage QEval to do that. So if you have teams running the same skill and they're in different vendors, they're in different geographies, they're at different levels, you can target teams that need to uplift certain types of KPIs. But you can go in groups of thousands of agents and uniquely and individually target, just like the QA scorecard does, to say, hey, you got 10,000 agents doing this piece of work. But, agent number 612, that person, Anna, she needs to work on this, even though she's a top 10%. And what you see here, and this is the concept of the learning paradigm, that your agents are between, your E's, D's, your C's are usually 60%, your B's and your A's, is, believe it or not, you can move your C's to be B's. You can have a full statistical deviation, standard deviation improvement by targeted coaching. And this has been well proven in the theories of and the implementation of practice. Just think about it as school. So everybody's not great at some subject, even the A students. So what do? They get a tutor. So when you're sitting in a class of 30, that's one to many, and that's what onboarding, and that's what production coaching is happening in the contact centers. And it's awesome, and it helps. But imagine going to somebody and saying, hey, you know what? You're only you're an A student and everything except for French. And in French, you don't need to do more work. What you need to do is work on your pronunciation. Imagine getting super specific, or you need to work on your conjugations of your irregular verbs. Not say work harder at French. Give French an extra hour every night and you'll get better. No, it's going right to the exact specific detail that specific student needs in our world. the agents need in order to become more proficient. And it gets down to that super targeted. There's 10 or 12 seconds in this 5-minute conversation that you need to work on, because you're not developing empathy when they're asking for help. You need to listen to what they said, and your answer needs to be, okay, I'll work on that. It needs to be, oh, that must be really difficult. I'm really sorry that happened to you. I'm here to help you. That's a totally different response, and it gets a completely different response from the consumer. And this helps that agent build, where AI helps agents, it helps that agent build that warehouse of knowledge and skills to become more and more proficient and keep their job longer, start to earn bonuses, start to look good for promotional opportunities, get skilled into other groups so they're always the most occupied, so they always have the most opportunities in front of them. That's where AI coaching is going to absolutely revolutionize the performance in contact centers and help agents' lives.
Oh, that's a must-have. We kind of owe it to the agents to do that. A batting coach that's what a batting coach does, right? He's sitting there staring at what you need to do to hit a home run. And this can do that at a massive scale. You talk about, we use acceleration huddles as a coaching where we're accelerating behaviors. The AI coach for life is just a massive acceleration. And these numbers about, the average handle time, what you did with QE Val, I think that was beautiful. I think that was a great marriage. You got 2 simulations in 20 minutes that just got them prepared for an emergency situation. Like that's amazing.
And then we take
is there any last thing you want to?
Yes, I want to just close the loop on that, because I didn't. We take those scores and pump them back into QEval, and then QEval checks them as proficient, and then obviously then it gets assessed based on the calls, the recordings, and so forth. So yes, absolutely. I'm going to start calling you MQ, because you're Melissa, the master of metaphors.
I am. I love metaphors. That's my favorite thing, but it helps us. I know myself, and over the years, it helps us to understand, especially in the world of AI. It's just been scary, right? There's a lot of legal issues out there. I just went through a legal training about AI, and I know everybody's hearing just a lot of things. This is really, this is a safe way to implement AI.
Absolutely.
It is a safe way.
It's super quick. It's super easy. We ingest recordings or scripts, and people are getting results in 2 to 4 weeks max with Symtrain. And it's an API based integration into our friends at Etech, and you and your QEval. So it's an out of the box, a couple hours of configuration. That's it. So you already have all the scorecards there. We just ingest that information, and along with the recordings, create the sims and the targeted sims, and then you're off and running. And you have AI coaching running globally at scale with standardization that has never been able to be done before. Imagine trying to deliver standardized global coaching that goes down to the 15-second snip of a call on 10,000 agents. It doesn't happen, but that's what we're able to do with QEval.
That's mind-blowing. Can you think about that? Here we sit, it's a dream come true, actually, in a call center, contact center environment. It's a dream come true.
And how many lives, how many agents' lives did we change because they went from a C to a B and then to an A, where they're starting to earn bonuses, recognition, promotions, and so forth. It's absolutely mind-blowing what a standard deviation of improvement can do for an agent population, both for the agents, the thousands of agents that were C's that are now B's, instead of getting kind of, derogatories on, every week on their QEval scorecard. They're seeing real progression and the real confidence that allows them to flourish.
I appreciate this so much because outside of Etech, I serve as a life coach to so many families, teenagers, those types of things. And I hear, like, we all know this, even for you, for those that are sitting at the table, life's tough. Life is tough. Like we sometimes create situations that we're in. Sometimes we didn't even ask for it. We didn't deserve it, but it came into us anyway. But if you can feel confident and competent at work, man, that sure helps you to deal with what's happening outside of work. And so when we're an organization that talks about mental health and how we care about our employees, they're going to face life situations. Let's try to help them at work where they can go from a C to a B, from a B to an A. Like you said, it changes bonuses and how they make them feel mentally at work can help them hopefully survive some things that happen outside. I think that's a huge win. That's a huge win. Yeah. Well, any closing words you want to say? I know everybody's got to get back off the table. We can't sit at the table, but we're going to have you back at the table. But what closing thing do you want our podcasters to hear from you, Jim?
Well, we're really passionate at Symtrain about improving your agents' lives, and we do it through helping you by getting more proficient and more confident and competent agents. But thanks very much for your time. We'd love to have you follow us on LinkedIn at Symtrain and follow our friends Etech as well. We have a strong partnership. We'd love to talk to you if there's anything in your world where you'd like to see some performance improvements where this partnership can really drive benefits and results. Thanks for your time. Thanks, Melissa. Awesome. M cubed.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Jim. Hey, thank you very much. And if you guys have questions for Jim, you want to reach out to me or the team, feel welcome to. And we appreciate your partnership, Jim. And thanks for being on the podcast. And next time we'll sit at the table together. See you guys on the next episode of the Etech Leadership Table. All right. See you later. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks to the Etech family. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.